Hi, you're in Ireland and the gods just turned into fairies. Not the cute kind with wings. The actual immortal beings living in burial mounds kind. This happened because mortals showed up and were like, we want the land, and the gods were like, okay, fine, but we're staying underground forever. Also, nobody wrote down the creation myth properly, so we have like 7 different versions. Anyway, let's talk about Celtic mythology, I guess. In the beginning, there was nothing. No time, no gods, no people. Just sea and darkness and vibes. Then the Oran Mor starts playing. That's the great melody. It's basically the universe humming itself into existence. Where sea meets land, a white mare appears made of sea foam. Her name is Iocha. She eats magic berries from an oak tree. The berries make her pregnant. Don't question it. She gives birth to Cernunnos, the first god. Her childbirth pain is so intense, she rips bark off the tree and hurls it into the ocean. The bark transforms into the Fomorians. They're sea giants with 1 arm and 1 leg each. Seems inconvenient. That's going to be important later. Alternatively, there's a version where Earth and Sky are 2 primordial giants lying on top of each other. Their kids get trapped between them. One son decides to fix this by murdering his father. He cuts Dad into 9 pieces. Dad's skull becomes the sky. His blood becomes the ocean. Very metal. There's probably also a goddess named Danu. She might be the mother of everyone. The problem is nobody actually knows. The Celts didn't write anything down. The Druids specifically refused to record religious knowledge. Then Christian monks showed up centuries later and wrote down the myths but also added Bible stuff. Now we have 7 different creation stories. Nobody knows which one is real. The point is the world exists and the Fomorians are lurking in the sea being monstrous. Anyway, people start showing up to settle Ireland. First is Cessair, who's Noah's granddaughter apparently. She arrives 40 days before the biblical flood. Brought 50 women and 3 men with her. Those are terrible odds for repopulating. The flood happens and drowns everyone except one guy named Fintan. Fintan survives by turning into various animals. First a salmon, then an eagle, then a hawk. He watches all of Irish history unfold for thousands of years. Imagine being a salmon for that long. 312 years later, Parthlon shows up fleeing Greece because he murdered his own parents. Lost an eye during the murder. I think there was a prophecy about this. He brings followers and they invent agriculture and dairy farming. They fight the Fomorians who still only have 1 arm and 1 leg each. Then, oh hey, a plague shows up. Kills literally everyone. 5,000 men and 4,000 women all dead. They're buried at Talat, which means pit of tears. Very subtle. 30 years later, Nemed arrives with 32 ships. Only 1 survives the journey. That sucks. Nemed's people multiply, but the Fomorians keep raiding them. The Fomorians start demanding tribute, 2/3 of all children every year. Also 2/3 of grain and milk. Genuinely the worst tax policy ever conceived. Nemed's people finally rebel and storm the Fomorian fortress. They almost win, but a tidal wave kills most of them. Survivors scatter. Some go to Greece and become slaves carrying bags of dirt. They're the Firbolg, bagmen. Other descendants go north and learn magic. They'll become the Tuatha de Donan. That's going to be important later. The Firbolg eventually return and divide Ireland into 5 provinces. They rule peacefully for 37 years, most stable anyone's been, and they lived happily ever after. Actually, knock knock, it's the gods. The Tuatha de Donan arrive from 4 mystical northern cities. They learned magic and druidry from wizard teachers. They bring 4 treasures. The Stone of Fall screams under true kings. The Sword of Nuada never misses. The Spear of Luck is unbeatable. The Dagda's Cauldron has infinite food. They arrive in dark clouds because they burned their ships. The smoke covered the sky for 3 days. Alternatively, they literally arrived in a cloud because they are gods. Don't worry about it. They demand the Firbolg give them half of Ireland. Firbolg says no. First battle of Mag Tuaird happens. It lasts 4 days. 100,000 Firbolg die. King Nuada's hand gets cut off by a champion named Sreng. Tuatha de Donan win but make peace anyway. Firbolg get to keep Connacht. But Nuada can't be king anymore because he's blemished. Missing a hand, they make Bress king instead. Bress is half god, half Fomorian. His mom's a goddess, his dad's a Fomorian. Bress rules for 7 years and he absolutely sucks. He's stingy, makes the gods do manual labor, doesn't throw feasts. The gods hate him. A poet insults him so badly, Bress gets stress pimples. Meanwhile, the physician Dian Kecht makes Nuada a silver hand that works perfectly. Actually, Dian Kecht's son Miach makes flesh grow over it. Even better, Dian Kecht gets jealous and kills his own son. Most toxic workplace. Nuada is restored as king because he's unblemished again. Bress gets kicked out. He goes crying to his dad, Elatha, the Fomorian king. Elatha is like, yeah, no, you deserved that. But Balor of the Evil Eye agrees to help Breeze. Balor has an eye that kills anyone who looks at it. He keeps it closed normally. Meanwhile, a new god arrives at Nuada's court. Lug shows up at Tara's gates. The gatekeeper asks, what's your skill? Lug says, I'm a carpenter. We have one. Also a smith. We have one. Also a warrior, harper, poet, historian, sorcerer, physician, cupbearer, and brazier. They call him Samildanach. Skilled in all arts. He beats everyone at chess simultaneously. They make him commander of the army. The gods prepare for war against the Fomorians. Everyone pledges what they'll do. Goibniu will make infinite spears. Dagda will smash them with his club. The Morrigan will seduce the Dagda by a river ford, then help in battle. The Druids will make the mountains fight. Second battle of Mag Tuatha begins. Baelor kills King Nuada. I think there was a prophecy about this. Lugh faces his grandfather Baelor. Yes, Luck is Baelor's grandson. Long story. Baelor's eye is so heavy it takes 4 men to lift the lid. Lugh shoots a slingstone through Baelor's eye. The eye goes through the back of his head. The Death Gaze kills the Fomorians standing behind Baelor instead. Tuatha de Donan win decisively. Bress is captured alive. His life is spared on condition he teaches them agriculture. Imagine being so bad at ruling that your punishment is agricultural extension work. The Fomorians are driven back to the ocean. Lugh becomes a major god. Meanwhile, the gods are having messy relationships. Dagda has an affair with the Morrigan before battle. His son Angus Og tricks him out of Brunaboine. Angus asks, "Can I have the palace for a day and a night?" Dagda says sure. Angus is like, actually in Irish that means forever. The gods are in charge now and everything's great. Actually no, wait, here come the mortals. Ith climbs a tower in Spain and sees Ireland across the ocean. He sails over with warriors, meets Ireland's 3 kings, MacQuill, MacSect, and MacGrain, all married to goddesses. The kings ask its advice about dividing inheritance. Ith gives a wise answer praising Ireland. The gods get suspicious and murder him. Paranoid much. Ith's body is brought back to Spain. His uncle Milispain's 8 sons are like, absolutely not. The Milesians raise an invasion fleet. They land on Ireland and meet the 3 goddesses, Eriu, Banba, and Fadla. Each goddess says, name the land after me and you'll prosper. The poet Amergin promises they will. Ireland is still called Air after Eriu. They meet the 3 kings. The kings say, this isn't fair. We weren't ready. Milesians agree to leave and come back properly. They get back in their ships. The gods immediately raise a magical storm to drown them. Many Milesians die. Amergin the poet sings a counterspell to calm the sea. Survivors land at multiple points. Battle of Teltiu happens. The 3 kings are killed. Tuatha de Danann lose. Amergin as judge divides Ireland. Milesians get the world above ground. Gods get the world below ground. Dagda leads the gods into the Site. Those are fairy mounds. Each god chooses a mound. Dagda gets Brunaboine. Lugh gets Sidi Rodrake. Manan MacLear casts the Feth Fieda. That's a fairy mist that hides them. The gods become the Aos Sea. People of the Mounds. The Milesians become the Gaelic Irish. Brothers Eber and Aramon divide Ireland between them. Eber gets the south, Aramon gets the north. Eber gets jealous and starts a war. Battle of Ergatros happens. Eber dies. Aramon becomes first High King of all Ireland. Let's check how the mortals are doing a few centuries later. Oh hey, it's time for heroes. King Conchobar rules Ulster from Emain Macha. His sister Daichtine gets pregnant. The father is Luck from the CD, baby born named Setanta. Setanta goes to Emain Macha and joins the boy troop. Beats up 150 boys at hurling simultaneously. The king invites him to feast at Cuchulainn the smith's house. Forgets to mention this to the guard dog. Giant hound attacks Setanta. Setanta kills it with his hurling stick. Cuchulainn is like, bro, that was my guard dog. Setanta offers to be the guard dog until a new one is raised. Gets the name Cuchulainn, Hound of Cuchulainn. Druids prophesy he'll be famous but die young. Cuchulainn says worth it. He takes up arms at age 7. Overachiever. Trains with Scothash in Scotland. She teaches him the Gay Bolg. It's a barbed spear that kills through internal spikes. Meanwhile, King Conchobar wants to marry Deirdre. She runs off with Nuise instead. Conchobar tricks them into returning and murders Nuise. This makes Fergus and other warriors so mad they exile themselves to Connacht. Queen Medib of Connacht and King Ailill have a pillow talk argument. Medib says, I'm richer than you. Ailill says, no, I am. I have the white horned bull. Medib says, I need a better bull right now. She hears about Don Quailingay, the brown bull of Cooley in Ulster. Tries to borrow it. Negotiations fail when her messengers get drunk and reveal she'll just steal it anyway. She raises an army. Oh hey, there's a problem. The goddess Macha cursed Ulster's warriors. They get labor pains when threatened. Long story, the king made her race while pregnant. All Ulster warriors are disabled, except Cuchulainn. He's only 17 and immune to the curse. The Tean Bo Quailongay begins. That's the cattle raid of Cooley. Cuchulainn defends Ulster alone for months. He invokes single combat at fords, kills champions one by one. The Morrigan shows up disguised as a beautiful woman, offers her love. Cuchulainn rejects her. She attacks him as an eel wolf and cow while he's fighting other people. He wounds her in all 3 forms. His foster brother Ferdiad is sent against him. They fight for 3 days. Cuchulainn kills Ferdiad with a Gay Bolg, weeps over his body. He goes into warp spasm. That's a battle rage where he becomes a monster, knows no friend or foe, kills hundreds. Ulster warriors finally recover and join the battle. They rout Connacht. Cuchulainn spares Medi when he finds her menstruating. The 2 bulls fight each other. Don Quailungay kills the white bull, wanders around Ireland dropping pieces of corpse everywhere, creates place names with entrails, dies of exhaustion. Later, Cuchulainn is killed through magic and trickery, dies tied to a standing stone so he dies standing up. Anyway, let's check a couple centuries later. Fionn Mac Cool's father, Cuchulainn, is killed before Fionn is born. Fionn is raised secretly in forests, learns poetry from Finnegas the Bard. Finnegas catches the salmon of knowledge. Remember Fintan, the immortal salmon? Different salmon. This one gives you wisdom. Finnegas tells Fionn cook it, but don't eat it. Fionn burns his thumb cooking it, puts it in his mouth, gains all knowledge. Whenever he needs wisdom later, he just sucks his thumb, becomes leader of the Fianna. They're elite warriors. He kills Aelin, a goblin who burns Tara every Samhain. Stays awake during magic music by pressing a spear against his face. High King Cormac Mac makes him Fianna leader. Has adventures with his son Oisin and grandson Oscar. Oscar becomes the strongest warrior. Diarmuid has a magic love spot that makes women fall for him. Terrible curse, bro. Fionn is old and about to marry Granée. She sees Diarmuid at the wedding feast, falls for him because of the love spot. They elope. Fionn chases them for years. Angus Og from the city helps them. That's going to be important later. Eventually, Fionn makes peace with them, and they lived happily ever after. Actually, years later, Fionn invites Diarmuid on a boar hunt. Diarmuid gets wounded. Water from Fionn's hands can heal. Fionn accidentally lets it slip through his fingers, twice. Oscar threatens Fionn. Fionn finally brings water, but Diarmuid's already dead. High King Cairbre decides the Fianna is too expensive. Battle of Gabra happens. Oscar is killed. Fionn dies. Maybe murdered, maybe in battle. Only 20 warriors survive. Oisin is lured to Tir na Nog by a fairy woman. That's the land of youth. Lives there for what seems like 3 years. Returns to Ireland. Actually been 300 years. Falls off his horse and touches the ground. Instantly becomes an ancient man. Meets St. Patrick, who just arrived with Christianity. Oisin tells him all these stories about when gods were cool. The Tuatha de Donan have faded into fairy folk living in mounds. The old world is over. And that's Celtic mythology, I guess. We started with 7 different creation stories and ended with the gods becoming fairies living underground. Very on brand. The whole thing is about cycles. Invasion, then settlement, then displacement. Everyone arrives, thinks they'll rule forever, gets replaced. Even the gods. The stories survived by transforming, not by staying the same. The gods went from ruling heaven and earth to living in fairy mounds and occasionally helping mortals find cows. It's like if Zeus retired to become a helpful neighborhood cat, except Irish. And the cat knows magic. Anyway, that's Celtic mythology. Try not to anger any fairy mounds on your way out.